So as you can see, we're just crossing the bridge and we're coming up on Brock's shop.
Hey Brock, could you take a look at this?
So
What you got,
X,
Brock?
if you press triangle, he'll normally talk to you. If you press X, you enter the shop,
So what
or you
you
enter the
find
shop
out
type
there?
area. That brings up Brock's screen. Now on the left hand side you can see the weaponry. There's a hammer signifying the weaponry. There's an anvil. So we'll just go through them. And this is all controlled by the D-pad. So if you're on the hammer, you can see that it's coming up craft, and that's basically allowing you to get Brock to craft you some armour. So we've got chest armour, wrist armour, waist, Atreus' armour, axe pommel, so that's basically everything you can craft. If you press the X, it'll go into it, and that'll bring up each different piece of armour that you can ask Brock to craft. So the square that comes up, obviously that's the mythic pauldrons of protection, and underneath there you'll see resources required, and that's how much hack silver you need for Brock to craft you that armour. If you do want that armour, you just press square and keep square held down until it's over. To come back off the screen, just press circle. So if you use the D-pad to go across to the anvil, we can upgrade, and it'll come up there which pieces of armour that you currently own that you can upgrade. So I just press X to go into the upgrade. So chest armour, that's the armour that I currently have that's upgradable, and you can see on the Brock's Royal Dwarven Breastplate I have enough resources to upgrade the armour. That's at the bottom of the next screen, or bottom of the square that's to the right of that upgrade screen. You can see at the bottom it says Hack Silver, Mist Echoes, Pristine Ore of the Realm and Scap Slag, and I have enough there because it's all in white. I've got enough there to complete the upgrade, and I can press square if I want to upgrade it. If I go down to the use the D-pad to go down to the Breastplate of Fallen Ash, you can see that that title is not in white, it's not highlighted, and it says at the bottom of the other square, not enough resources. And if you look down there, you can see that I do have enough smouldering embers because they're in white. The green is the number that I have, and the white is the number that I need. And I've got enough Pristine Ore of the Realm. I only need one of them, and I've got 54. And these Scap Slags, I've got 24 now. I've got 926 and I just need 24. What I am missing is a Crest of Surtra, whatever that is. I have no idea what that is, but I've got none of that, and apparently need 7. So I'm not going to be upgrading that today. So I press circle to return to the screen, go across with the D-pad again, and that's everything that I can buy. So press cross to go into it, and that's the armour that I can buy. That's the chest armour that I can buy, that's the wrist armour that I can buy, and again circle returns it, D-pad to go up and down, and that's everything. Down here at the bottom, these are the enchantments you can buy, which I'll explain a little bit more about in a minute. And resurrection stones, they are very, very handy. On that screen, if you look across at the table that's on the right hand side, I'll just click the L3 button to enlarge it. You can see at the top we've got a number and a diamond, which is 10, and that's the overall strength and ability of Kratos. To the right of that is what looks to be a red jellyfish, and that just explains that I'm currently holding a Berserker Resurrection Stone, which basically means if Kratos dies, you get to press square and Atreus comes across, hits you with that stone, and you get resurrected with a little bit of health and a full rage bar. That screen, while I'm already on it, it just explains that Kratos' strength, runic attack, defense, they're all relatively self-explanatory. Strength, the higher your strength, the more damage Kratos does when he's in hand-to-hand combat or is hitting with his axe and blades. Runic attack, the blades and the axe have a runic attack, which I'll go through in a minute. And that explains that number there, the bigger that number, the more damage he does. Defense again is relatively straightforward. The higher your defense number, the less damage he takes when hit. Vitality, the more vitality you have, the actual Kratos does have a health bar, and the bigger your vitality, the bigger that health bar is. Looks an unusual one. I don't think most players rate it, but it is quite useful. As you progress through the game, you'll open different chests, coffins, and the more luck you have, the more likely you are to find more hack silver in that coffin or chest. And also there's certain enchantments and armours that the more luck you have, they're more likely to activate the special effects of that enchantment or talisman, whatever it is that you've got that you've equipped. Now Kratos does actually have runic attack on his axe and blades, and the cooldown at the bottom, that is how quickly everything refreshes itself. So once you've used it, the bigger that number, the faster it will refresh and you can use it again. Interestingly, that number is not linear, which means that if you've got a 100 cooldown and it takes a minute to refresh, going to 200 doesn't take 30 seconds to refresh. So I'll just press circle to come out of that, and then we go across again on the D-pad and we can sell. So if you've got armour that you're not using or you've upgraded, you can sell that. The talismans, if you think this is a useless talisman, I'm not using it, I can sell that. Enchantments, resurrection stones, you can only carry one resurrection stone, so if you decide you want to change it, although there is only 3, you have to sell the one that you've currently got before you can buy another one. And the final one across is lost items. Basically along the journey, Kratos might lose things might lose, it's mainly money, and you press the square and that just recovers those lost items, which is normally, like I say, it's hack silver. While I'm on that screen, you can see in the top right hand corner, we can see the yellow numbers. That's Kratos' experience points. Basically every time you battle something, or battle a big troll or a big enemy, a Valkyrie, you'll gain experience points and that number goes up. As you play the game for the first time, the experience points are used to exchange to buy the skills that I'll show you again in a minute. Alternatively, they can be sold to Brock for hack silver, and the hack silver is the HS and it's the white number, and that's what's used to upgrade different armour, weapons and things like that. So that is Brock's shop. So I'll come out of Brock's shop by pressing circle, and I'll just come over here just while I show you everything else. Right, the next control is you can either use the scroll pad in the middle of the controller to bring up the map where you are, and a circle to come out of it. Alternatively, you press the options button and that brings up, it's the same screen just at different stages of the screen. If you look at the top of the screen, you can see weapons, armour, skills, map, and you control this by using the R1 and the L1 buttons. So we're currently on the weapons screen. If I press the R1, it goes on to armour. R1 again goes on to skills, map, goals, codex, resources. The resources section you don't often have to go onto, it's just basically everything that Kratos is carrying. So if you want to know how much you've got of anything, and you just use your D-pad to go up and down it. So that's everything that I've got. D-pad left and right goes from resources to special items, and again everything that is carrying. If I press L1, I'll come back to the codex. Along the journey you'll open some shrines, which is basically like a book which Atreus will read out, and he'll just basically explain a little bit of the Norse mythology that's on the screen. And once he's read it, you'll be able to go back into there, press X, and it'll bring up what he's learned and what you've learned. Right on the D-pad brings up the bestiary, and that's basically a description of all the enemies that you meet along the way. One of the game hints as you progress through will be say that if you're having trouble defeating a certain enemy, consult the bestiary. I've never found it particularly helpful because it only comes up once you've defeated something, and once you've defeated it you don't need to know how to defeat it. It doesn't give you any helpful hints particularly, I don't think. So back onto goals. This is basically where you are in the game and what you need to do. The yellow hand signal is where you are, is what your current objective is. So basically it comes up, path to the mountain. Atreus and Kratos need to go up there and scatter the mother's ashes. You can see underneath the objectives, I've thrown the axe at the tree, I've continued towards the mountain. So we can see from the yellow hand that the objective that I've still got to do is to proceed through the gate to the mountain, and once I've done that I'll get a reward which is to the right of that tells me I'll get 2,000 experience points. If we use the D-pad to just go across, we've now got that funny little symbol, and that just list of favours. As you go through the game, you'll meet dwarfs, you'll meet witches, and they'll ask you to do things, and it'll come up there what you need to do, and it'll tell you when, and it'll also register there when you've completed it. Across again, we've got Labours of the World, and that's basically little game extras. We've got crafting. I think we've got to craft the Traveller's Armour, we've got to craft the Ancient's Armour, and then we've got skills. We've got to parry, we've got to be the last one standing, things like that. And that basically, it shows you on the right hand side what your rewards are. So I can see every time I open a shrine, I get 6,000 experience points for opening all of them, and I get 100 for every shrine that I open. So you just use your D-pad up and down to see what you still need to do. And skills, like I say, parry, you can see underneath the objectives which ones we've done. I've already parried 25 times, so it's registered as having done, and so I still need to do that. Across again, get treasure maps. Throughout the game, you'll find treasure maps, or Atreus will pick up a treasure map. It'll tell you what you need to find, and then basically it'll show you a picture, and you need to go and collect the treasure, and that'll come up in this screen here. And the last one is artifacts. Once again, as you go through the game, you'll pick up artifacts, and they'll come up there. Each section of the game has its own artifacts to collect. There'll be a set for wherever you are. So I'm just going to click the L1 button, and it'll show you the map. That's where we're currently in Midgard. It's come up in the middle of Midgard. We're in the region of the River Pass, and in that square there is what we've done. So you can see that I found some shops, I found a law marker, I found some legendary chests, and on the left hand side is the Midgard summary, which is the whole realm summary. In the middle of the map you can see it's called the River Pass. It's written in big letters in white. We're at the shop. The Amiga symbol, which I presume is the God of War symbol here, it's in a white diamond shape. That's where Kratos is. The flashing hand is where we're going to, and the little yellow triangle next to the Amiga shows you which way Kratos is facing. Don't need that at the moment, because once you come out of the map by circle, it's obvious where you're going. You don't need that. So I'll just go back into the map. It was goals, wasn't it? Oh yeah, artifacts, that's what I was just saying. Artifacts, so there'll be some artifacts to pick up in the River Pass, and they'll come up on that goals screen. There's none up here because I haven't picked any up deliberately, but that's where they'll be seen. So I think there's 4 artifacts to pick up in the River Pass, and as we go through into different areas, there'll be different artifacts to pick up. There'll be some artifacts in the Wild Woods, some in the River Pass, and the rest of the map's shrouded in fog because we haven't got there yet. So back to L1, we'll go down to the skills, and if you look underneath the weapons and armour section, you can see you've got an axe. You use your D-pad to go across. So currently on the axe, D-pad across, that's the shield, that's the blades, and that's the bow. And Atreus holds the bow. And if you look underneath, so we've got melee combat, and we've got elemental combat, we've got shield combat, rage combat, and you can see I'm moving the diamond across each square. Now obviously I've played the game quite a few times, I've unlocked all these skills, but if you're playing this game for the first time, as you defeat the enemies, you'll get the XP points, that's the yellow figure at the top, and each of these skills you spend so much XP points and you buy the skill. What each skill does is shown in the right hand side, so that's currently on a block break, and the little graphic that comes up showing what the Draga's doing to Kratos shows what that skill does, and underneath that it shows you which controllers you need to do to activate that. So double tap L1 to break an enemy's block, so that's a skill to purchase, and you just basically work your way through the game buying the skills in the order that you think are most useful to you. So I'll go L1 again, and we're back to armour. So again, underneath weapons and armour you can see you've got little pictures of Kratos and Atreus. So D-pad just swaps left and right. Atreus only has one armour set, so you press the X to go into his armour, and that's the armour that I've currently got for him. If you're fighting the Valkyries or anything, you can leave him in purple. He tends to throw a health stone at you, which is very, very useful. But during normal gameplay I would normally use a red armour, and basically that's because that allows him to shoot his arrows a lot faster. I mean, it comes up on the screen what the perks are and everything like that. So when you want to equip that particular set of armour, just press the X and it'll change it. Once you're on the armour that you want, press circle to return to the other screen. So I'm going to go back onto Kratos, and that's the armour that Kratos is currently reusing. If you look on the right hand side of the screen for the attributes screen, they relate to the armour that you're wearing. So basically, if I go into chest armour, press X, the chest armour that I've currently got equipped is the Pauldron of the Ancients. Next to that, it'll tell you in the next block of square, you can see Pauldron of the Ancients. It's a level 9 armour, it's got a strength of 70 and defence of 120, and that all translates into Kratos' screen at the other side. So you can see under the 10, you can see strength 343. Basically 70 of that is attributable to this particular set of armour, this Pauldron. So you can change different sets of armour, they all have different attributes, so we've got different strengths, runic attack, defence, vitality, and as you go through the game you'll be attacking different enemies. You can decide which armour's best to use, and as you can see from the square on the right, it's changing his different levels of strength, runic attack, defence, things like that, and that's all customisable. Now don't worry, if you've just started this game, your armour won't be up to this level, and as you go through the game you spend your hack silver at Brock's shop and you upgrade the armour. Now once you're on your armour, you can actually press square. You can see at the bottom of the square is go to sockets, and each piece of armour has different sockets for enchantments, so basically crystals. I've got 3 of these different types of crystals. Square unsockets it, or alternatively you can just press X and it'll go into it, and that lists everything that we can have, and there's all these crystals or enchantments that you can equip your armour with that increase different things. So that's got strength, it's got defence, but it increases the damage of a particular type of attack, which I'll go through in a minute. So basically set yourself up for where you are in the game. So circle just takes everything back. So we've got chest armour we can change, we've got wrist armour that we can change, we've got waist armour again. X goes into it, choose which one you want, circle brings you out, square takes you to sockets. Lastly, you can equip a talisman. These are the talismans, they all have different effects. The one I like is the Talisman of the Realms. You can see in the square how to activate it. You press your L1 button and your X at the same time, and basically it stops time for a little bit. I'll demonstrate that in a second. And again, once these talismans have been upgraded, they might start off with no sockets for enchantments. As you upgrade them, you get more and more sockets, and square takes you into them. So you've got the perfect mark of protection, and you see at the bottom, and you can just go into them, they tell you what to do, and that's all good. So that's it. So I said I'd demonstrate something, so I will. So again, I've got my talisman equipped, so basically you press L1, and if you look at the bottom left hand side of the screen, that's Kratos's everything that's equipped, and it also tells you the talisman is in the red circle, and you can see it looks a little bit like a thistle to me, and it's got the cross next to it. So if I press the cross, that activates the talisman, which is a realm shift, and basically it stops time. You can see that that red circle has now completely gone blank, and that shows that that talisman is recharging itself, so I can't reuse it yet. Next to the talisman, it depends on what weapon you've got equipped. If you've got the blades equipped, you can see the 2 red diamond shapes next to it. That basically is which runic attack is equipped. And if I swap to the axe, they're the runic attacks that are equipped for the axe. So, and the circle is just basically which weapon you've got. Now as you attack various enemies, if you can attack them and hit them so many times without taking damage, that little circle with the axe in it will build up frost, and that means that for a certain length of time after that, every time you hit an enemy, you'll do your normal axe damage, and you'll do some frost damage as well, which is just extra damage. The green bar, and that's just the talisman re-energized or refreshed, so I'm now able to reuse it again. Now you can see other R1s come up. If I press R1 while holding down L1, it'll activate the runic attack for the axe, the top runic attack, which I've currently got an ice beam activated. And that'll just do that attack. And you can see that that square has now gone black, which shows it's recharging. And there's a little white line at the bottom of that that's slowly coming up, and once that's at the top it'll have recharged. Now that's called a light runic attack. There is a heavy runic attack, where again you press L1, press R2, and the heavy runic attack again. And again you can see that square's gone black, and it'll slowly recharge. Underneath the green bar, the green bar is obviously Kratos' health bar. That goes down as you take damage, and as you collect green crystals it'll recharge itself. The orange bar that you can see is the rage bar. Well, if you click together the L3 and R3 buttons, Kratos goes into rage mode, like that. And that puts you in rage mode. Every time you hit an enemy in rage mode, the little green, you'll gain re-health. If you press R3 and L3 again, Kratos comes out of rage mode, but you do lose a little bit of your rage. On the right hand side of the screen, you can see that's Atreus. So the red jellyfish is there to show that he's carrying a resurrection stone. If you press R2 to aim and press square, Atreus will fire his arrow. So you can see the number is currently 4, he's got 4 arrows. So you press square as many times as you want and he can fire those 4 arrows. And as the circle goes round, that's Atreus is recharging his bow. The little thing that looks like an upside down bunch of grapes, you just keep it aimed, keep square down, and there's different levels. There's a different attack that Atreus can do, which I'll show you in a minute. So if you just press the options button again, you'll go back into the equipment screen, as it were. And we're currently, as you can see, we're currently on weapons. So R2 takes us across to armour, and you want to be on weapons for this. Underneath weapons, you've got the axe, which is currently on. You use your D-pad to scroll across. You've got the shield, you've got the blades, and you've got Atreus' bow. Now if you use the D-pad to come down, you can see it was on the bow. Press down and you go into Atreus' fancy runic attack type thing. Press X to go into it, and that's everything that Atreus can do with the bow. And if you look on the right hand side, it'll show you what the runic attack is. That one's currently Wrath of the Wolf, so it throws wolves out. We've got falcons, dive, storm the earth. Just work your way through it, and currently I've got Murder of Crows equipped. So as you play the game, try them all out, see which one you like using the most. Play as you go, and again circle comes back. So D-pad comes back. So now we've got the light runic attack is currently equipped. So D-pad comes down, X goes into it, and that's the light runic attacks that you've got. And on the right hand side, it gives you a demonstration of what each does and how to perform each one. So that one, you press your L1 and your R1 to do it, to activate it, and then obviously you can see under 2 you can press R1 again for an extra slash, and that's it. The middle screen shows you how much damage each attack will do. You've got burn damage and stun damage, and they're all different. So just choose the one you are for which enemy you're facing or where you are in the game, or whichever one you like to play with. It doesn't really matter. Circle goes back, and again D-pad down, X goes into it, and you've got the heavy runic attacks. And again I've currently got the Prometheus Flame. So again, the square in the middle of the screen tells you how much damage it can do, tells you how to activate it, tells you if it's got burn damage, how much stun, how long the cooldown it takes. So the 69 seconds is how long it takes to refresh itself. So that's that. So circle comes back. Shield doesn't really do out. I've just got different shields that I can choose. Just use the one you're happiest with. It really doesn't matter. And lastly, you've got the axe. So X goes into it. You've got all the light runic attacks. They're all self-explanatory. Which one does damage, frost, refresh. Again, choose the one you like. the enchantments that I showed you earlier that attach to the armour, some of them will increase the effects of these runic attacks, so it's just a case of working out which one does which. I like the Wrath of the Frost Ancients, that's what I demonstrated earlier, that's just a ice beam. And some of the enchantments that I have on my armour increase the effects of that, so it either increases the power or it increases the duration. And that's that. And again, come down and you've got the heavy runic attack. So that's that. And lastly, I don't think I showed you on but the blades and the axe both have handles or pommels. Go into that, and these are the different ones you can use. Now basically all these you will find the grip, the flame, the grip of the ages, the blightbringer. They're all things that you'll find throughout the game. So once you've played the game, you'll find it in the coffins, you'll find it by defeating various enemies. And basically once you've got it, you'll be then able to take it to Brock and upgrade it. And that's why these are all red. It's because I've played this so often that I've just got the highest levels on them. And again, you look at your box on the right hand side, different handles have different attributes. So if I change the handle, you can see in green it puts certain attacks up. So for that one, from what I'm currently, I've got Retribution equipped. If I change it to this Grip of Flame, it'll put the runic attack up, but I'm going to lose luck and I'm going to lose cooldown. They're in red at the bottom, so I'm going to lose them. So that's it. And again, press circle to come out of it. So that is that. The only other thing you probably might need to know is if you go into the main thing, you'll see at the bottom you can actually press triangle, and that brings up some options. So if you ever get to a point where you're not happy, you've got options there to restart the checkpoint. You can turn the subtitles on and off, things like that, but basically that's the game loads and saves itself automatically. You don't need to be doing anything. But yeah, so hopefully if you're new to God of War, those controls or this little video will help you master the controls, and then you won't get frustrated with it and think I can't do it. And I hope you enjoy the game. Thanks for watching.